Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is John Campea, and this is a companion video. What are companion videos? Well, I'm awfully glad that you asked. See, every day on the John Campea Show, Monday through Friday, we take the second half of the show to take your live comments and questions. However, we often don't have enough time to get through all the live comments and questions that get sent in. But I want to make sure if you sent in those comments and you supported the channel, you don't have to wait too long to get them answered. So we gather up the unused questions and we address them here on companion videos. And it's a good day, ladies and gentlemen, because Kimberly Curran's in the house to help out today. Kimberly, how you doing?
I'm great. I'm doing awesome.
It's good to have you back. We haven't had you in for a bit.
I know. It's so good to be in. You know, I got to tell you, I've been a busy bee.
Yeah, you had a lot going on?
Yeah, but I got an email from someone that knew you during your breakdancing days.
No.
And I obtained footage.
No, you did not.
Of you.
Who?
Getting your breakdance on.
Who sent that? Who sent this to you? Do you have a name? Or are you just completely pulling?
I'm messing with you. I don't have anything. That's a lie. That's a complete lie. I just want to see the look on your face.
I'm running it through my head. I'm running it through my head.
Your face.
Who dare? Who dare?
I wish I knew like someone's name so I could just take it a bit further and really freak you out.
Oh my God.
That's my dream though, is to come in and just be like,
to get me freaked out one day. Here's the footage.
I got it. Gold chain and everything.
You found the lost ark. All right, guys, listen. We do have a bunch of your topics to go through. I got to mentally recover from that now. We do have a bunch of your questions to get through, so let's not waste any time and get right to it. Kimberly, what is first?
All right, this is coming from Scott Brown. He says, listening to you talk about the restructuring going on at Disney reminds me about the late 90s when they put out all these straight-to-video sequels to their animated classics that were awful and did a lot of damage to the brand. It has to be quality, not quantity.
Yeah, that's a good reminder of that era because, yeah, back in those days, they would have a hit film and then they would crank out these low-budget
Pocahontas too.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff like that, right?
Awful.
Actually, here's an interesting little thing we've talked about on the show before, but not a lot of people realize that Toy Story 2 was originally meant to be a direct-to-home video kind of throwaway thing. And as it goes, they got a certain percentage of the way through making the movie, and they called a meeting. They said, you know, this is actually pretty good. We should probably go through. And to this day, I believe it is still the #1 rated movie on Rotten Tomatoes. It is. There are some movies that have a full 100% rating, but I think Toy Story 2 is the one that has the most reviews and is still holding its 100% rating. I mean, at least the last time I checked. And that came out of that. But that is a good reminder, Scott, of the era that we did have when all those direct-to-DVD things were done. Anyway, what's next?
Edmontonian says, just listen to the dedication you gave for your dad's B-Day. I have to say I got a little dust in my eyes. I never had a father, but I do have 4 children. My new mission in life will be to hope they can one day speak of me the way you spoke of him.
Yeah, so last week was my dad's birthday. So cool. We ended it off. I mean, listen, I will do stuff like that, like when it's my mom's birthday or Mother's Day, talking about my family, particularly my mom and my dad. Because while I am a public speaker, I'm not a talker in person. Actually, that's why I'm very rarely on the phone. Unless it's a business thing, I'm very rarely on the phone because I'm not a phone talker, like at all.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not really good. Like, I'm very socially awkward. A lot of people get surprised when but I am. I'm very, very socially awkward. And even with my own family, I'm not really good at expressing like feelings and emotions in person. And so I do a lot more of that when I'm like dedicating something to my mom or my dad, and I'm able to actually say what I want to say.
I love that.
It's easier for me to do it on my show than it is in person, you know? So that is that. My dad, like I said, my dad is, to me, the standard by which all men are measured. And to me, like I said in my thing, my dad, his style of parenting is not perfect for every family, obviously, but for us, like my dad was not a lesson giver. He was not somebody who said, come sit down, children, and let me tell you about this or this or this. He modeled life for us. So he modeled what hard work was.
That is so rare these days. That is so special.
He modeled what absolute commitment to family was. And I've got a lot of stories I could tell, but my dad just living that. And I learned those lessons from him, not because he would sit down and tell us about them, just because he lived it. He lived it around us, and he let us see, and he let my sisters see how a man is supposed to treat you. And he let
right there,
us,
that's
all
everything.
of us. Yeah. He let me, my brother, my two sisters, all of us knows what it means to be, even if you have annoying family, that family has to come first, and you do anything for family. He never talked to us about it. He just modeled it all the time, whether it was, one of my mom's siblings who I don't even like to think about, but my dad, because it doesn't matter if that particular person's a pain in the ass, they're family. And so we do this. And I just, everything I've learned about that stuff came from my dad. So I just
leading by example.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It's just a huge thing. And that's why I say stuff like that on my show, because I'm not so good at it saying it in person.
As long as you said it.
I did say it.
As long as you said it. You know what? Because now he can play it back.
Yes, he can.
There you go.
All right. Not that he watches my show. My mom does. All right. I'm sure my mom showed him. Okay. What's next?
Team Stark 1672 says, "Hey, John, a month ago you had a brilliant rant about the CEO of AMC and the bonus he got. I vowed to myself I would never step foot into another AMC theater again. Thank God there's a beautiful UA IMAX RPX theater near me. What say you? Love the show."
Yeah, listen, we talked about this a while ago about in the midst of a pandemic with the industry barely holding on, the CEO, the AMC organization, who obviously I have a history with. I worked with AMC. I have a lot of fond memories there. There's still a number of people there that I hold in very, very high regard. That said, they gave their CEO in the midst of a pandemic when they had to lay off tens of thousands of people losing their jobs, all that kind of stuff. They gave him a $9 billion bonus. And, or somewhere in that, I can't remember the exact number off the top of my head, but it is one of the most tone deaf, read the room, idiotic things I've ever seen.
And people weren't just out of work. They were sick too.
Yeah. People were out of work. They were sick. They didn't know how they're going to take care of each other.
I got this new COVID thing. Like,
and
I can't work.
Yeah. CEO got millions of dollars in bonuses.
Not cool.
With the company being on the brink of going out of business, it's one of the most idiotic things I've ever seen. I'll tell you what, this AMC CEO is a clown. He's an absolute clown compared to the last CEO who was there, who was a genius. This dude's a clown. And he's made so many idiotic decisions for AMC. And I say this as somebody who is a big AMC fan. However, I am not a boycotter. I don't know if anybody's noticed that. I'm not into boycott this. Now, there are movies I won't go see because I'm not interested in them, but I'm not interested in organizing boycotts. Not to mention, just because the idiotic decision and the stupid, inept incompetence of their current CEO does not mean I should want to punish the tens of thousands of AMC employees.
There's still people that work there that probably don't like him anymore because guess what? That was
like him a lot less than I do.
Out of their mouth.
Yep.
But they work there and that's their livelihood. So
yeah. So, I mean, look, unless it was a systemic, the entire operation was this, that, and the other thing. They did something really stupid. I called them on their stupidity. But I mean, I'm not into boycotting AMC or anything like that. They're like the biggest movie theater chain in the industry. I want them to survive. I want them to succeed. It's just that when I heard about this stupid thing, I was like, I'm not going to lose any sleep if they go under. But I don't want that because they have tens of thousands of other people who work there too. So whatever. I just hope they learn a lesson.
But we the people, you got to call it out.
Yeah.
That's what we're here
because
for. People have
not,
a voice.
Not because we want to, bitch and moan just for the sake of it, but because we want to call it out, because we want AMC to be a healthy, thriving thing, but only if they do things right. And so we want them to do things right, but whatever. All right. What's next?
Raj says, "Hi, John. Watching Shadow and Bone these days on episode 7 now. Must say I'm quite intrigued. Felt a bit slow to start with, but it's growing on me ever since. Like the chemistry between Mal and Alina and also the crows. Production quality is also quite good."
Did you get around to watching Shadow and Bone?
I was just going to say, Raj, I'm also on episode 7.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I binged the whole thing in one night.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. So what happened was I was out playing poker, and if you're at least minimally a half decent poker player, you don't play a ton of hands. So in between hands, I had my cell phone out, and I thought now's a good time for me to get started on watching Shadow and Bone.
You can watch a show and play poker at the same time?
Well, remember, because a lot of the time I'm only playing like 1 out of every 10 hands, right? Because I check my cards and I fold so then I would pause it when I'm actually in a hand. So I got through the first 3 episodes when I was at the poker table. And then I came home and I thought, I was just started a 4th episode when I was still at the poker table. And I thought, You know what? I'll just, before going to bed, I got home around midnight, and I thought, before I go to bed, I'm going to just finish that episode. But then I'm like, there's only a few episodes left. So I just binged the whole thing the whole night. I did not love Shadow and Bone, but I thought it was interesting. And there's definitely some pluses to it. The mythology, they didn't do a very good job. Like, they've got a really good core mythology. They did not do a good job of introducing that mythology. The world
building was a little rocky.
It was rocky.
Because I'm like, I thought they were on the ocean, and I was like, oh, he jumped. There's no splash. It's dirt. He's on dirt.
It's dirt. Okay. But also the whole thing about...
But they didn't introduce that. I was like, why didn't you tell me the ocean was dirt?
It took like 5 episodes for me to even really start to get a grip on, okay, what is the political situation going on here between this country and this country? Why is this? And blah, blah, blah. It was kind of stuttering. Overall, though, I still thought it was interesting. I loved Ben Barnes in it. I think Ben Barnes is great. I don't know why this guy isn't like a major A-list superstar.
Who does he play?
He's the black general.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah. The stupidly, obnoxiously good looking one. Yeah. That's him. I
wink, wink.
I thought he was great in it. And I also loved him in Punisher, because he was, of course, Jigsaw in the Netflix Punisher series. And I've liked him in almost everything I see him in, even if he's not always in the best stuff. But I know, what are your thoughts on so far?
The villain, well, that one kid, it's Freddy something. I don't remember his whole name. He's like the villain. He's, crap, I forgot the character name, but he has that look to him of like, I feel like he's going to be like Mads Mikkelsen, where he's always going to get really great villain roles. But I like it. I like the girl. I thought it was cool that she like beams the sun from her or whatever. But I just like fantasy stuff.
So do I.
I like sci-fi. I like fantasy. But, you know, the world building was a little rocky, but I enjoyed it.
All right. What's next?
Suthia says, hey guys, we've brought up and have talked about Stargate SG-1 on many occasions. I believe most of us are indeed fans of the show. What about the original movie with Kurt Russell as Jack and James Spader as Daniel? What are your thoughts on the movie?
I'll be honest. You know what? It's weird. It's one of the reasons why it's surprising that I like the show, because I'm not a big fan of the movie. Now this came out when I was really young, but I rewatched it again years later. And to this day, I remain not a big fan. I don't think it's terrible, because I love James Spader. I mean, the voice of Ultron, and I really like the Blacklist and stuff like that. And obviously Kurt Russell, but the movie was never all that memorable for me. It was like, okay, sci-fi movie, cool. Never stuck with me. It was the series that really got me into SG-1.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that was it. But you're looking at me shocked.
This was around the time where I started to really fall in love with films. And for some reason, this would be the VHS I'd keep putting in. I've watched that movie so many times, and I love Kurt Russell in it.
Yeah.
He's just likable, but that used to be my favorite movie for a spell. I liked it.
All right. What's next?
Suthia says, now let's talk about the director of the Stargate movie, the one and only Roland Emmerich. I think he and Michael Bay produced some great eye candy movies for sure, though some of his movies don't have much substance. Which of his movies are your favorites?
This is going to sound weird, because I'm going to say it's my favorite, and I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. I'll look it up here in a second. But he did a movie about, I want to say 6 years ago, maybe 7. But he did a movie a number of years ago. Let me see if I can pull it up here. So about, I want to say 6 or 7 years ago that he did one of these movies. And basically it was about Shakespeare. But the principle of the movie was Shakespeare was a fraud. Shakespeare wasn't the one who actually wrote his own stuff.
Oh,
and I'm trying to find
the
name of it here now.
I know what you're talking about.
The wrong one. Let me see if I can find it here. It's not White House Down. Was it Anonymous? If it was Anonymous, that was like 10 years ago. Yes, it was 10 years. Okay. Anonymous is what it's called. Let's see if I can bring it up here on the screen.
I remember that.
So Anonymous was the name of it. And it starred Aretha Fons, that's right. Vanessa Redgrave, who we talked about on the John Campea Show earlier today, because Vanessa Redgrave's about to start a new movie with Kevin Spacey. But we talked about that earlier today. Anyway, not the best received movie, Not a lot of critics loved it, but I'll tell you what, I really
liked
enjoyed it, and I really liked it. And I would have to say, while he does have like a lot of high profile, major, especially like the disaster stuff. You're going to talk about Independence Day, the day after tomorrow, stuff like that. I was really into it because it was such a different film for him. It was just it was not, and I remember I interviewed him.
Nothing blowing up and.
Yeah. I remember I talked to him and I said, I didn't know what to expect watching this. And he goes, I know you don't think Shakespeare when you think of me. I mean, that's exactly what he said to me. I'm like, yeah, he said that's one of the reasons he was really attracted to it. It was very much outside of what people saw as his kind of. I like when
directors do that.
I do too. I wish more. Like I wish some of my favorite directors like Quentin Tarantino or something would do stuff like that. But he stepped way out of his box and I like the results. When you think of him as a filmmaker, do you have a favorite one of his?
The Patriot.
Oh, right.
Hands down. Heath Ledger and Mel Gibson,
Yeah.
Whatever you think of him, it was a really good movie. He was really good in it. But yeah, The Patriot, man.
It was his big follow-up to Braveheart for Mel Gibson. That was kind of like one of the big main ones he did after that.
Yeah, and I love history. That's another thing. I absolutely love history, and so I really liked that film.
All right.
And
what's next?
This is coming from James Argenta. Just watched first few episodes of MODOK. It reminds me of a Harley Quinn and surprisingly powerless with Patton Oswalt's humor. Sorry, guys. I recommended giving it a chance and watched a few episodes. Also, Ben Schwartz's voice is a character who is similar to John Ralphio.
Yeah, I'll tell you what.
Don't be suspicious.
I said this on my show this morning. If I had kids, I would want Patton Oswalt to be their godfather. I love Patton Oswalt. Whether he's just doing voice and animation, his stand-up comedy, his just personal interviews. I just think he's great.
He did my favorite episode of Parks and Rec.
Obviously with the big filibuster they did with Marvel and Star Wars crossover. One of the greatest things on YouTube you're ever going to see. So for that reason, and that reason only, I was curious to see MODOK because I didn't like the trailers for it.
I was creeped up.
Patton Oswalt is involved there. So yesterday, after Ann and I got back from Disneyland, we said, okay, we're going to sit down because they're only half-hour episodes. We're going to binge through the entire thing of MODOK. After one episode, Ann tapped out. Neither of us laughed once.
Oh,
so I said, I'm going to give it at least one more episode. Ann said, you have fun with that. I'm going to do anything else. And she left. And I watched the second episode and I giggled once and then I tapped out. The show, it's definitely trying to be Harley Quinn and it's definitely failing. It's just not funny. I was watching, like, you understand, I have a total juvenile sense of humor. Like, I laugh myself sick when I watch Harley Quinn. Like, I nearly crap my pants laughing so hard when I watch Harley Quinn.
Oh, no.
But MODOK, it's terrible. It's just not funny.
I was so creeped out by that trailer. I was like, why?
So you have it. I would be curious to know what you think about it if you do watch the first couple of episodes.
I'm going to watch an episode.
It's short. They're really short.
I don't like to judge things. Give everything an opportunity. I'll give it a.
Please tell me what you think once you do. All right. What's next?
Anonymous says, "Do you think HBO Max will keep most of its material with Discovery
probably
taking
when
over?
Discovery takes over.
When Discovery takes over. And do you think it will stay around the same price?"
Well, here's the thing about that. Of course, we've been talking. AT&T is selling off Warner Media. They no longer want to be in the media game. So they're selling it to Discovery, and Discovery's going to merge themselves in with Warner Media and make some new thing. So technically speaking, I don't even know that HBO Max is still going to be a thing. They may rebrand the whole thing. I think they should, because I've never liked the name HBO Max. It was always too confusing with HBO, HBO Go, HBO Now, HBO Max. You have this century-old iconic Hollywood name in Warner Brothers, and you don't put that in your title. I think Discovery's going to rebrand, and I think Warner Brothers or Warner of some sorts is going to be in that title just to give it that panache. It will keep all of its material because it belongs to them, and now it belongs to Discovery. So they're just going to keep it on. There's no reason they would lose any of that material. So they're probably going to keep all their material, at least the material they were planning on keeping in the first place. And then yeah, it'll probably end up being around the price it's at. Listen, I know a lot of people, we are consumers. That means we cry over everything. I do it. You do it. Everybody, all consumers do it. We all cry because we want everything for free. Everything should be for free.
If it's free, it's for me.
It's like, so people look at HBO Max. look at what you get when you get HBO Max.
It's a very nice catalog.
It's a wonderful catalog with some of the greatest shows in television history, some great movies, like a big.
I'm rewatching West Wing right now. I do that every year.
I love West Wing.
I rewatch West Wing.
Everybody should rewatch West Wing once a year.
Yes.
Their originals are fantastic. I love their originals. They are the top, I think, the best television producers in the world right now. Even though Netflix also does a very good job with their television series.
Their series
stuff.
are great.
But, and yet, with all of that, whenever it comes up on our show that their subscription price is $15 a month, I constantly hear, that's too much. That is a bargain. Well, yes, but Disney Plus is only $8 a month. Oh, for now it is. For now it is.
Oh my gosh, they keep climbing.
It ain't going to be $8.
Climbing.
This is all introductory nonsense. Like within 5 years, they'll
Especially
be
after
15,
all these
16.
great Marvel shows. No way.
Exactly. $15 is a good 50 cents a day for the library. And the original content that HBO has is great. So I suspect that once they make it even more valuable by merging in the Discovery stuff, and I'm a bit of a sucker for a lot of the Discovery stuff.
Yeah.
I watch Fixer Upper.
Are you kidding me?
I watch the Property Brothers.
I love Fixer Upper.
I love Fixer Upper.
Property Brothers.
And now they got the Magnolia Network that's a part of it. And I love
their stuff looks so good.
I know. My
It's
my
the
wife,
return
you know
of-
what? Chip Gaines retweeted me the other day.
He did.
Yeah. I was
love
all
his
excited
energy.
about that.
He did. That is so cool.
Because I put out a tweet that basically said, what I said, okay, so this is when I found out Discovery was buying Warner Media. I said, all right, so with Discover buying Warner Media, if the next Justice League movie doesn't have Chip and Joanna Gaines as Justice League members, I don't want to live in this world anymore. And so I guess Chip Gaines noticed that. So
they are going to be in the new Fantastic Four.
Yes, that's it. And everybody thought
Let's
John
put that out
Krasinski and Emily
there.
Blunt. It's going to be Chip and Joanna Gaines.
There's a reason for this move.
No, don't forget that's Marvel. That's Marvel. This is not.
Oh
Warner.
yeah, that's true.
But I mean,
I can't keep up anymore.
they're going to have more value added to it. And so, yeah, I think they probably will keep it around $15 a month. And listen, I don't care what anybody says. When you look at what you get for HBO Max, $15 a month, while maybe when you compare it to Disney Plus, which is only giving you the intro price for now. But yeah, maybe it seems like a bunch. 50 cents a day for what you get with HBO Max, I will always argue is a great entertainment value.
That's a really, really good price. And like I said, with all this streaming, you got to make a spreadsheet.
Yep.
You got to decide when and what. And I seriously have a spreadsheet because I was like, oh my gosh, I'm paying so much. And you know what? It works for me because it's just going to get more expensive. But you got to think about how frustrating it is to want to watch a show. And so you got to go over here, and you want to watch a show and you got to go over there. Having all the Discovery stuff on there, it's going to really minimize that.
You know what it reminds
So
me
why
of?
not?
And I shouldn't be going off on this rabbit trail, but back in the day, this is prior to, a lot of the online messaging and stuff like that. There were multiple online messengers. I think there was a service called IM, and then there was AOL Messenger where you could send messages to each other.
God.
And then I remember, I can't remember the name of it, but somebody launched a new piece of software that was like, you can put in your accounts for all the other messaging services. And I think it was called Trillium. Trillium is what the software was called. And so you would create a Trillium account, add all your other accounts. So when anybody messaged you from one of those other services, it would come in Trillium. Say, this one comes to you from IM. This one comes to you from AOL Messenger. This one comes to you from whatever the name was. I would love to see at some point in the future, just like a lot of the studios got together and made, what's the Movies Anywhere? Is that what the app is called? Where if you have accounts on Fandango or Google Play Movies or iTunes Movies, you can create a Movies Anywhere account and it'll have all of your movies from all of those places.
Oh.
And like a whole bunch of the studios got together and do that. I would love it if at some point all the studios got together and said, okay, we've got these 35 different streaming services. However, if you get Super Streamy app
I will freaking sign up for that
for
today.
$40 a month,
Right now.
We'll give you the 20 top ones all included in
Sold.
that. I mean, I would sign up, but even still, HBO Max on its own is worth $15 a month. All right, what's next?
Chris L says, "Hi, John and crew. Thanks for the amazing content you're providing. They're planning to reboot Highlander." Yeah, that's what he meant. With Henry Cavill. I loved the first movie and the series with Adrian Paul. Do you know more about the project, and what are your thoughts?
No,
Thanks.
we talked about this. Obviously, this was one of big topic conversation because Henry Cavill is one of my favorite actors, and The Highlander is one of my top 10 favorite all-time movies, has been almost my whole life. So I'm very, very happy about this news, as you can imagine. Don't have any other information. I don't even know if he's going to be playing Connor McLeod or if they're going to be doing the story of Duncan McLeod. I assume it's going to be Connor McLeod. The big questions for me is who's going to play the Kurgan? Who's going to play Ramirez? That was played by Sean Connery. Of course, the Kurgan was played brilliantly by the immortal Clancy Brown. Then some of our viewers today sent in some suggestions. They said,
I saw that.
Antonio Banderas is Ramirez. And I'm like,
I saw that.
great idea. And then somebody wrote in Dave Bautista as the Kurgan. I'm like, that's a perfect role for Dave Bautista.
And I'd like to see him with Henry Cavill.
Oh my God, I would love to see him with Henry
they'd
Cavill.
have really good chemistry.
Oh, so I am
Cool, man.
I am all about this. And ever since they made this announcement, all the pictures of Henry Cavill in the kilt have been going around the internet, of course. So I am so down with this, but very little information on this project right now. Probably won't get much information for a while. But yeah, color me excited. All right, what's next?
Swim says, Army of the Dead. Hold on 1 second. I just accidentally went all the way up. Okay. Army of the Dead. As a longtime fan of the zombie genre, I felt like this film missed the mark. I thought the beginning opening credits were incredible, but that's pretty much all I enjoyed. The movie felt like the love child of Zack Snyder and U-Bowl.
Or Uwe Boll.
Am I saying
Uwe
that?
Boll. That's how.
Uwe, how do you say
I always
Uwe?
said Uwe Boll, but apparently it's pronounced Uva, as if
Uva.
it's a VA on. It's as if it's written UVA. At any rate, listen, I'm not going to lie. I had fun watching Army of the Dead. Now, I got to go see it in the movie theater, which was great. I went to go see it a couple of weeks before it opened, or a week and a half before it opened on Netflix. I had fun with it.
Yeah.
Here's what I said to Rob. In all the ways that it's a zombie movie, it's fun and it works. In all the ways it tries to be more than a standard zombie movie, it totally falls on its face. Its narrative makes no sense. There are so many blatant logic holes. The performances...
They didn't go deeper into the hierarchy of the...
And
like there was more. I felt like there was more there because it was interesting.
Yes,
because we've never had like there's an alpha zombie and then there's this zombie.
There's a caste system of zombies.
Yeah,
there's your
low
level ramblers, and you know I just finished watching. You know the great series that they do on Screen Rant's YouTube channel, the pitch meeting series. Have you ever seen the pitch meetings?
With the big eyes?
I
got an idea. Yeah,
I just watched earlier today the dude do his pitch meeting of the Army of the Dead.
Oh yeah,
and it's so spot on. It's like, why does that make sense? It just doesn't. Yeah, but listen, that's a Zack Snyder movie traditionally. Zack Snyder, to me, is one of the most singularly gifted visual storytellers in movie making. Like even his movie Sucker Punch, which is complete crap. Visually, I always tell people, if you put on Sucker Punch and hit mute, you're going to have a wonderful time.
You're going to have fun.
Making up the story in your own head, because visually, he can tell a story visually as good as anybody in the world. It's a lot of his other stuff that usually comes with a little bit weak, which is why I was so pleasantly surprised by like Man of Steel, that it has such great narrative and mythology.
That the story was so good, yeah.
And everything was executed so well. And I think he did a good job with like Batman versus Superman, whatever too. But yeah, I get, listen, I still had a lot of fun with it just because it's a crazy zombie movie. I get though, Swim, why you wouldn't. I totally would, like, because the weaknesses of the film, which I don't deny, are absolutely weaknesses of the film. And if they stood out to you more than they did to me, I totally get it, and that's cool. All right, what's next?
Space Cowboy says, "Hi, John. If you were a boxer or in the MMA right now, what would your nickname be?" I thought of this really good one, the Italian Stallion.
Kind of used. It's kind of taken.
But I have a feeling that one is taken by another fighter.
Yeah. Okay. So if I were a professional MMA fighter, what I know what it would be, but it's also stealing from another guy's thing. My nickname when I was younger And I got it for a stupid reason, like totally stupid reason, which I won't go into, but was
I gotta
Rampage.
hear it. I gotta know.
Was Rampage. And so even when I was a kid and we started our role-playing games, I started naming my characters, Rampage. Like when we were playing our DC Heroes role-playing game, we had an ongoing campaign that lasted like 3 years. And I played this character called Rampage. Whoa. And all that kind of stuff. So even though Quentin Jackson has adopted and uses the name Rampage Jackson, of course, the great Hall of Famer MMA fighter. I would have to say would probably
just
be
add
Rampage.
part 2 at the end.
Part 2.
Yeah.
And you're ready to go. All right.
You're ready to go.
What's next?
The Sock says, so much to celebrate this weekend.
Yep.
Today, my little brother graduated from Centennial High School, but what I didn't know, even he didn't know, is that he graduated cum laude and with Tennessee honors. Tomorrow is my grandmother's and Monday is mine.
Wow.
His birthday is awesome.
That is a good day. That is
Congrats,
a good week
man.
Listen, that's considering
awesome.
Again, Satan's nutsack of a year that we had in 2020, having a week of like just pure win, a week of pure win. My birthday thing, my brother's graduation, finding this out, this big surprise. Listen, we got to take the wins where we can get them. And right now, every win just feels all the more sweet.
Yep. And after seeing kids graduate on their living room couch last year,
yeah,
it's really wonderful to see kids out there graduating at somewhat normal. I know we're not back to normal, but it's really special.
Yeah,
so
it's great to see. All right, what's next?
James L.H. says, hi, John. You should be a proud Italian this weekend. I didn't watch it, but Italy were the winners of the Eurovision.
Oh, wow.
Hold on 1 second.
Of course, Eurovision is the subject of the Will Ferrell movie with Rachel McAdams.
Yeah.
And I'm forgetting the name of the movie now, but
it's Eurovision something
song of the whatever.
Yeah.
But it
was so freaking awesome.
Listen, I'll tell you what, the song that they sing at the end, Husavik, I think is what it's called.
Didn't Sia write all the songs?
I'm not sure who wrote the songs, to be honest with you, but that I at least once a month pop on the music video just to hear, well, Rachel McAdams isn't actually doing the vocals, but just to see Rachel McAdams singing that last song. I just, because it makes me think of my hometown. And whenever she sings about that, because not a lot of people know this, I live in LA, or now I live in Corona, but I live outside of Los Angeles. So I live in the Riverside, Corona area. But I still call it, it's the Los Angeles area. It's still the LA area.
Yeah.
But when I came to LA, I only moved here with the plan of being here for like 1 year. I was going to come to LA for 1 year, meet a bunch of the people that I would interact with online because I was doing the movie blog and things like that.
Nice.
And then I would go home because I am very much a hometown boy. My hometown of Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, I think Hamilton, the Hammer, is the greatest city in the world. It's where my family is. That's where my history is. I just love it. And like, I love the land. I feel like, you ever watch the Kevin Costner Robin Hood movie?
Yeah.
You know the part where near the beginning of the movie where he gets back from the Crusades and he gets off the boat onto the beach for the first time and he drops down and he kisses the ground. I practically do that whenever I go home. Aww. And so when I not hear Rachel McAdams sing, but see Rachel McAdams sing, I think it's called Husavik is the name of the song. I melt whenever I hear it. And so,
oh my God.
Yeah, I do. I just completely melt. I get a little bit teary-eyed because I think about my home and because the whole song is about their hometown. Anyway, sorry. Please continue with the question because I interrupted.
Aww. Look what you did, James. You made him cry. They were the winners of the Eurovision Song contest for the third time. I did a bit of checking. Previous wins in 1964, 1990. Better than UK. No points second year running.
I'm not going to lie. Other than after the Will Ferrell, Rachel McAdams movie, when I checked out some actual Eurovision videos on YouTube, I had never seen Eurovision, and I only heard that it was still going on. Yes, but apparently the artist from Italy won, so I haven't watched it yet, but I'm going to have to go back and watch it because Forza Italia, and I cannot wait to see that.
It and be proud.
All right, thanks for sending that in, James. All right, what's next?
Shanghai Finn says, hi, John. I'm always behind on the John Campea Show, so maybe this was already thoroughly discussed. But after seeing you and Rob talk about it, I felt I had to chip in. As a speaker of somewhat fluent Chinese, the name Shang-Chi, which should be Shang-Kui in pinyin writing. This is 2. Or, and then he shows a character in Chinese characters, would indeed in Mandarin Chinese be closer to Shang, just like the name of my current home city. Shanghai would be closer to Shanghai. That being said, it really doesn't matter much. Some localization in pronunciation is perfectly fine. Just like I have long since given up on trying to teach people to properly pronounce my Finnish name. Luckily, Shang-Chi is still a pretty easy one. Looking forward to a discussion about works of the science fiction author Liu Xian.
Yeah, I'm
Is
not
that
sure how
Xian?
that's pronounced. I don't know. I'm
I
not
said
sure how
that
that's
right,
pronounced.
Shang.
So this has been a discussion that's come up a little bit because Shang-Chi has been said as Shang-Chi for a long time. I've heard some people recently say the proper pronunciation is with a U. It's Shang-Chi. I've heard a lot of people say that. Then I've heard some people say, no, that's how you would say it if you were in that dialect, but here, the way you do say it is Shang-Chi. And then I've heard a couple of other people saying what you're saying, Shanghai Shin, where you're saying it's actually pronounced like it's an O, not as an A, not as a U, but as an O, as Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi.
I've heard that too. Listen, this is why I've said this, and I make no effing apologies for this. When I see the movie, however they say it in the movie is how I will say it. Until I see the movie, I'm going to go with the way it's always been said here, which is Shang-Chi. Now, maybe it'll be Shang-Chi, maybe it'll be Shang-Chi. Maybe it'll be one of those. Maybe that's how they say it in the movie. And when it does, I'll go with it until I'm going to say it this way. Once I see the movie, that'll settle it, and that's how we'll always say it. Until that time, I'm not going to worry about it. But thank you, Shanghai Finn, for sending in your perspective on that as somebody who is fluent in Chinese. I appreciate that. All right, what's next?
The Wakandan Forever says, my favorite all-time comedy is Austin Powers, and the Johnny English franchise is great. I like them more than James Bond himself. What parody character do you like more than the original property? P.S. Small Wonder 1985 American sitcom, The First Fembot.
I don't have any spoof characters that I like more than the originals. No, like there are movies that I absolutely love, like Spaceballs. I love Spaceballs all the time. But do I like Dark Helmet more than Darth Vader? No. Do I like Lone Star more than either Han Solo or Luke? Because Lone Star was kind of an amalgamation of both Luke and Han Solo. No. Do I like Princess Vespa more than I like Princess Leia? No. Do I like Joan Rivers' robot more than C-3PO? No. Do I like John Candy's Barf more than I like Chewbacca? No. So there's really none that I prefer over. But here's something funny about Johnny English. So I wasn't a big fan of the first Johnny English.
Yeah.
I think it was the second one that had Dominic West.
Yeah.
That was in that one.
I saw it forever ago.
The studio flew me out to Arizona in the middle of the desert for the John Carter of Mars. Sorry, they changed the name of it to just John Carter. For the John Carter press junket, which they had out in the desert because it looked like a Martian landscape, right? And I sat down with Dominic West. Now, you got to understand, at this point, I had never seen The Wire, right? A show that a lot of people consider maybe the greatest television show. A lot of TV files consider it to be like the greatest show ever made.
It's so deep.
And I had not seen it yet. So I sat down with Dominic West and I said, listen, I'm geeking out a little bit here because, and he totally thought I was going to be talking about The Wire. But I said, even though I'm not a huge fan of the franchise, dude, I loved you in that Johnny English movie. I thought you were great in that Johnny English. And I thought he was going to fall in his chair. He goes, all anybody wants to talk to me about is The Wire. He said, thank you for being the first person to sit down with me and not instantly go to The Wire. He goes, don't get me wrong. I love The Wire. Fan. I love and he said, of course, in his accent, but he said, I love The Wire. And I totally love it. It's the highlight of my career, blah, blah, blah. But no one sat down with me and said they recognized my performance of Johnny. Thank you. And it was like, yeah. But yeah, I don't have any spoof characters. Like even if you go to Hot Shots, the Charlie Sheen character in that, It's not as good as the Top Gun or Rambo. I can't think of any that I actually prefer. So no, and as much as I love Austin Powers, no, I don't like him more than James Bond. But that's do you have any spoof characters that you like prefer over the
I'm gonna
mains?
get you sucker with Keenan Ivory Wayans.
Yep.
It was kind of a spoof and an amalgamation of like the Die Hard and Lethal Weapon. It was kind of, his character was mostly a spoof off of like Die Hard, but that movie is so freaking funny. It is so the little guy with the hat and the shoes with the fish in them. It was like black exploitation parody and Die Hard parody. Like that is my all-time favorite parody film.
By the way, speaking of, I'm just gonna throw this in there. Speaking of Die Hard, this Thursday, I won't explain why, but I'm having dinner this Thursday with a couple of people, but one of which was the costume designer, Academy Award nominated costume designer for Die Hard, who designed Bruce Willis's outfits and designed what his look would be in the movie and all the characters in the movie would look like.
How fun. Her
name's Marilyn Vance. And I got to know her a little bit because I'm a massive, massive, massive fan of the Mystery Men. I love Mystery Men. She was also the designer on Mystery Men.
Oh, she was.
And she wrote to me, she goes, I heard you talking on your show about how that's like one of your favorite movies. I'm like, yeah. She goes, I'm going to send you something. So a week or two later, this FedEx package shows up.
If she sent you the bowling ball, I'm going to freak out.
No, she didn't send me the bowling ball. But what she did was she sent me one of her original concept sketches of the costume of Captain Amazing. And I've actually got it.
Are you freaking serious?
Okay. Do you see on that one shelf over there? I've got it looks like a thin cardboard thing wrapped in cellophane plastic over there.
Is that it?
It's wrapped up in that cardboard right there. I haven't unpacked it in the house yet, but she sent me one of her original concept pieces for Captain Amazing.
Is too cool.
And I drooled like crazy about it. And so we're meeting, I'm having dinner with her and a couple of other people this week to talk about something that maybe I can talk about in the future. I'm not sure yet, but anyway.
How
so there's that.
Cool.
Yeah. Oh, one of my favorite things. All right, what's next?
Jealous. Alan says, hi, John. Just saw the trailer for Dear Evan Hansen and loved it. I know it's early, but with Justin and Ben's track record, La La Land, Greatest Showman, how likely do you think it is that You Will Be Found gets nominated for Best Original Song at the 2022 Oscars?
Here's the thing. I'm a little bit unclear about this, so I might be wrong. I don't think any of the songs in it are going to be eligible for the Oscars.
What qualifies? Because I've always been confused about this.
I think it has to be a song that is specifically written for the movie.
It can't have debuted in
something else.
I
don't think it can. Yeah.
Oh.
So I was going
to say they'd be neck and neck with In the Heights, because In the Heights is coming out, and I know that soundtrack is about to be.
Yeah, but then again, I don't know that any of the songs in that soundtrack will be eligible unless they create new pieces, new songs for the movie version.
Can they remix it?
I don't think remixes count.
And then, okay.
So now I have to go back because one of the best ways for me to figure this out is to go back and look to see if Les Mis had any of its songs nominated for best song. So I don't think it did. I could be wrong about that.
Interesting.
But obviously that would have won, but it's not original. So I don't think any of the songs, unless they create a new song specifically for the movie. And again, I could be wrong about this.
That makes sense, because you could just be nominating a song almost like giving a Grammy. Like, it's like if it was a song that was already out there, but these are films. It has to be. That's interesting. I actually didn't think about that.
How was the Immigrant Song for Thor Ragnarok not nominated for best song? Because it wasn't written for the movie. But anyway, again, I don't know the ins and outs of the music wing of the Academy and what their specific rules are, but I suspect it won't. But listen, I loved the trailer, loved it. I'm very excited for this movie. It made it into my top 10 most anticipated list for the remainder of 2021, which we talked about on Friday. So I'm very stoked for it, but I don't think it can be nominated for best song. I could be wrong, but we'll find out. All right, what's next?
Mr. Silva says, hi, John and Rob, if he's there. I wanted to ask if you've read all 6 of Frank Herbert's Dune novels. I was thinking about starting them before the film releases. Are the last 3 worth reading, and what are your thoughts?
Well, obviously, Rob's not here. He was here earlier today. I can tell you that Rob has read all of the Dune novels, and he likes them very much. Now, I have not read anything beyond the first book. I have not read any of the rest of them. So I'm not the right guy to ask. Rob, though, has read all of those things. And again, I don't know how he would specifically answer your question. All I know is that in general, he likes all of the books. So take that as you will. Thanks for writing that in, Mr. Silva. All right, what's next?
Anthony R. says, "Hi, John. So it's Sunday, May 23rd, and I'm currently sitting in an advanced screening to A Quiet Place 2
Very
at
nice.
the IMAX in Times Square's New York. My first movie after over a year. It's good to be back."
And you are going in to see my number one most anticipated movie of this year, which is A Quiet Place 2. 2018, A Quiet Place was my number one movie of the year. Yes, over. What was it? I think it was Infinity War came out that year. I liked it more than Infinity War. Black Panther came out that year. I think it was better than Black Panther. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which I think was the best comic book movie of that year. I put it over that. So my top three movies of 2018 was number 3, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Number 2, Black Klansman. Number 1, A Quiet Place. That's how much I love Quiet Place. We understand that Black Panther, Infinity War, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. That's how much I like in A Quiet Place. That's how impressed I was with that movie to this day. So I am super excited for this. It's a year late now, but whatever. It's here. I'm stoked. I'm going to see it Thursday night. So I'm very excited. So I'm a little bit envious of you, man. I'm a little bit envious. All right. What's next?
We got this covered cover says, "Hi, Gio and Rob. Felt inspired by your 2021 remaining most anticipated. My list: 10, Shang-Chi, 9, Reminiscence, 8, A Quiet Place 2, 7, Dear Evan Hansen, 6, Last Night in Soho, 5, In the Heights, 4, The French Dispatch, 3, Suicide Squad, 2, No Time to Die, and 1, Dune."
Yeah, I've got a lot of those on my list as well. I do not have The French Dispatch. I didn't think the trailer looked, I don't know, all that appealing, even though you can't deny.
Is that a whatchamacallit film?
Yes, it is. And you
know
can't
what I'm
deny,
talking
yes, you cannot deny the talent behind or in front of the camera. I mean, whether you're talking about the Royal Tenenbaums, or whether you're talking about the Sea with the Bill Murray one, Zizou, under this, whatever it was called, I keep for the name of it, the Royal Tenenbaums, on and on and on. But I don't know, it just doesn't look all that appealing to me. Plus, I think as of right now, it still doesn't have a release date. It was supposed to come out in 2020.
Wes Anderson.
And I think as of right now, they still don't have an actual release date for it. They haven't decided when they're putting it out. So I don't know if it's going to end up on like an HBO Max or a Netflix or something like that, or if they're just waiting a little bit to put it out. But I haven't seen any of that yet. But a lot of those
fell off my radar because
it's been forever.
I mean, like A Quiet Place too. So many things that were supposed to. I mean, don't forget they do the red carpet for A Quiet Place too, like right before the pandemic. So not only were they ready to show it, I think they did the premiere, or I could be wrong, but I thought they did.
And I mean, listen,
I thought they did.
Listen to this. So
fell off my radar.
how's this cast? I mean, obviously when it comes to Wes Anderson movies, we're accustomed to having these incredible casts, but still, listen to this. From Handmaid's Tale, Elizabeth Moss, the 3-time Academy Award winning lead actress, record, by the way, Frances McDormand. The heir apparent to the GOAT title currently held by Daniel Day-Lewis, Timothée Chalamet. Saoirse Ronan, multiple Academy Award nominee. Tilda Swinton. Edward Norton, Lea Seydoux, Owen Wilson, Christoph Waltz, talking about multiple Oscar winners, Adrian Brody, Willem Dafoe, Bill Murray, Benicio del Toro, Rupert Friend, Liev Schreiber, Jeffrey Wright, Angelica Houston. I mean, it goes on and on and on.
Dang, homie.
I mean, that talent list, since everybody will work with Wes Anderson, that talent list is incredible. Still, the trailer didn't exactly get me excited for it, but it was just the one trailer I saw. It doesn't have a release date yet. Maybe I'll get a little bit more hype for it once they actually start getting close to when it's coming out. All right, what's next?
Ryan Launer says, "Something in movies that always bugs me. Someone refuses to explain a big reveal because it's a long story. Then, when we do get the story, it's something that could have easily been summed up in a sentence or two. Just once, someone say, 'No, just tell us now.'"
Yeah, that's true. When that normally happens and where it really bothers me, because there are many times stuff like that happens and it never bothers me. The times where it does bother me, where it's like, your problems can be solved right now if you just tell them this information. A lot of times it's inconsequential if the information gets transmitted transmitted at that point in the movie or not. But there are a lot of times I've seen the movies like, oh my God, the whole conflict of this movie is instantly solved if you just communicate this information. I liken it unto, I call Meet Me at Death Peak at Midnight, which is my biggest pet peeve in movies, when it's like, okay, hero of the movie is trying to find out who the killer is.
Yeah.
Supporting character A discovers who the killer is, calls the hero and says, I know who the killer is. To which the hero says, who is it? And the line that has been said a million times and has never made sense. Not over the phone. Why not over the phone?
Because they're watching.
I mean, who cares? And they're like, so what inevitably happens? Side character A says, not over the phone, meet me at Death Peak at midnight. As soon as that happens, the audience knows, well, side character A is clearly dead, and they're going to die before they have a chance to tell. It's a trope that's been done a million times, and it always bothered me. This one does bother me, but a lot of times it won't, because sometimes it's inconsequential. It's only when it's really. Do you have any big movie trope pet peeves?
Well, let me ask you, are you watching Mare of Easton?
I am so glad you asked that, because Ann and I start watching it tonight. So I have not started watching it. I've had so many people
spoil it.
Is it great? Because everybody's telling me it's great.
First of all, you know how some shows we're finding now that people are back to a weekly schedule instead of dumping the whole series. And we're finding that, you know what, some shows that's perfect. And some shows you do need to drop the whole season. I'm glad you waited, because we have been doing the week by week. And every time it fades to black, we're like, no.
But isn't that a great feeling, though?
You guys are going to love watching it all the way through. It is so good. The acting is so good. Her character has some issues. I'm not going to spoil anything, but yeah, Ryan, you made me think of that.
A lot of people are saying Kate Winslet's like her best work ever. Oh, I've heard people saying it's like amongst her best work.
It's so good.
I'm looking forward to watching it.
I love it.
All right, what's next?
Suthia says, so I went down this rabbit hole of watching videos from Mixed Reactions channel. Watching various montages of different people reacting to moments we have all seen in the past year or so, whether in a show or a movie. Don't think I ever smiled or giggled so much. Just seeing others get excited or shocked or sad. It's just something that is so magical and something that we all share when watching a piece of media. From moments of seeing Luke to the moments of seeing Sam in his new suit to the moment of the train scene in the last episode of Invincible. This past year or so has had some amazing, shocking, and emotional moments. What are some of your favorites? What are some that really stands out to you? Long live Smiling Tiger.
Well, here's the thing, Suthius. I don't keep, that's something, it's a great question, but it's something I would have to sit down and think about for like 15, 20 minutes and kind of write out like what actually was this year. Cause this past year has kind of been a blur in many ways about, wait a minute, that wasn't this year. That was 2018. So I'd have to actually sit down and think about it. So I don't really know. The stuff about reaction stuff, I don't watch a lot of reaction stuff. Like there are a couple of guys I watch. I watch The Real Rejects because Greg and John. Guys that
are in your movie.
Yeah, they are in my movie. Yeah, Greg and John, I like them both.
Their Black great. Panther one is epic.
Oh, yeah.
So epic.
The Day One guys, I mean, who also was in my movie.
Yes.
But they were in my movie because I was a big fan and I reached out to see if they'd be in my movie. And, so I like them. But here's the problem. Unlike those guys who's like, because I know them, I know this is how they act. I sometimes, let's put it this way. I know for a fact, I'm not going to say who or whatever, but I know for a fact that some of the bigger reactors online, it's not their real reaction. It's performance art for a lot of people. And that's why I don't do reaction videos. I know I could get shit tons of views if I did reaction videos, but I know I can't be like, the guys at Day One or the guys at Real Rejects, because they're just so natural. I remember I tried doing a couple reaction videos and I realized after a while, I'm just kind of playing it up a little. I didn't even mean to do it. I'm playing it up.
Yeah.
And I realized if I did an honest reaction video, most of it would be me doing this. Like very, very
That's
rarely.
riveting.
Yeah, no, that's riveting. Must see television. Like very rarely do I watch a trailer and go, wow, wow. I rarely ever do that. And so, again, that's not a critique on other reactors. I'm just saying for me, I know it wouldn't be authentic.
Yeah, some people.
And that's why I don't do it. But some moments, hey, listen, I went down the reaction rabbit trail when, Endgame happened and the portal scene happened. I watched all the reactions.
I watched that so much.
Mandalorian, when Luke comes up, I watched all the collage video cuts together.
2020, I was all over it because I missed being in the I missed that most authentic moment when you're in a theater, and when I grabbed my nephew's hand so tight, he was like, please let me go when at the end game. And I screamed out loud, holy. And my mom was like, really? During Endgame? I miss those authentic moments. And so I love those videos because I love feeling that collective energy. And that is what's so great about everyone watching media is we all feel the same thing,
Well, and it speaks to why I think the actual movie theater experience can't be replaced.
Yeah.
I think the attraction for most people when it comes to watching reaction videos is you don't just want to react by yourself to something. It feels like you're part of a community when you're watching a react. Let's just talk about Real Rejects for a second. When you're watching, because now you feel like you're watching it with other people. And you get to enjoy and feed off of the emotion and reaction, whatever, of the other people beside you. To me, it's like being in a movie theater. And that's why the movie theater is always the better way to watch a movie. And so that's part of the attraction of it, I think. Anyway, thanks for sending that in, Suthius. All right, what's next?
This is coming from BK Dan. John, as much as I like Henry Cavill, as far as the Highlander reboot, all I gotta say is there can only be one.
There can be only one.
There can be only one. I read that completely backwards. Christopher Lambert as Connor McLeod of the Clan McLeods.
Yes. Now, listen, of course, the Highlander is one of my top 10 all-time favorite movies. Talk about it all the time. Whenever I list off my top 10 favorite movies, not everybody has the same top 10, but they all go, oh yeah, that's a great one. That's a great one. And it's always when I get to the Highlander that people go, Highlander? Like the one with the Queen soundtrack and everything too? I'm like, yeah, man, the Highlander.
Better
These
get
are my
into it.
top 10 all-time favorite movies. Highlander 2 sucks. Highlander 3 sucks. They all suck after that. But that original Highlander with Sean Connery as Ramirez, with the great iconic Clancy Brown as the Kurgan. Again, some people wrote into my show today that suggested Antonio Banderas as Ramirez and Dave Bautista as the Kurgan. I love those picks. Lots of stuff. But listen, Christopher Lambert, who later went on to be Lord Raiden for some reason in the old Mortal Kombat movie. But I love Christopher Lambert, obviously. But it's not like you can't possibly have another one. You can't. I mean, somebody else can step in to play that role. And I think Henry Cavill's the guy. I'm so excited about that. Cannot wait to see this. All right. What's next?
Olay says, hello, John and crew. I've seen some rumors that Discovery is looking to sell off DC. Firstly, I don't believe they will, but just wanted to hear your opinion on what you think of the IP of the DC would be worth.
It's not even worth discussing because it's complete bullshit. And none of that is true. None of that is true. We talked about it on the John Campea Show earlier today. All this stems from a CNBC report that said a major voting holder in the Discovery of the Discovery shareholders changed in his high-profile, high voting rights in exchange for other stock in order to A, make it more flexible for the company to either sell itself in the future or acquire new companies in the future. It becomes much easier to do when you don't have individual shareholders that hold like 25% of the voting rights, which this guy did. And in giving up those rights, he got compensated by getting more stock, and the value of Discovery is going way up because they're taking over Warner Media anyway. A bunch of people, some online outlets, took that very standard piece of business that happens when acquisitions and mergers happen and ran with it. Started off with, do you know that means that Disney might buy Warner Media?
All the rumor mill.
And then that spun off into Disney's trying to buy DC Comics. And so anyway, no, None of it's true. And by the way, while a purchase agreement is being made up for Discovery to take over Warner Media, Warner can't go around and sell off its assets because those assets are part of the deal of Discovery purchasing them. So no, they can't do that anyway. And that deal ain't going to be complete for at least another year or two. And then when it does happen, you think the first thing Discovery is going to do is give away the most valuable thing that comes with Warner Media, the DCIP? Not at all. So pay no attention to any of those rumors. It's all complete bullshit. Just ignore them and don't worry about it. All right, what's next?
Ryan Launer says, just imagine if online culture as it now exists had been around when Alien 3 came out. If you thought The Last Jedi made people angry.
Oh my gosh. Listen, I think about that all the time. I put out a tweet once that got a big reaction from a lot of people. It's true. I said, if Empire Strikes Back came out today, which today we all remember is probably not my favorite of the Star Wars movies. That's Return of the Jedi for me, but obviously I love Empire. But for a lot of people, Empire Strikes Back is like the definitive Star Wars movie. I say, but if Empire Strikes Back came out today, or like a Return of the Jedi came out today, I should have said, if Return of the Jedi came out today, it would be like, wait a minute. Lando got to lead the final assault on the Star. That wasn't earned. That's the big term people who like to sound like they know what they're talking about. That wasn't earned. That's the big hot phrase that people who don't actually know what they're talking about like to say to make themselves sound cool. That wasn't earned. Wait a minute. What was the whole point? Vader just dies? What was the whole point? These are the things that Twitter would be like just exploding with. It would be all this stuff, all these complaints about
Twitter back then.
But no Twitter back. But yes, oh my God, if Twitter was around when Aliens 3 came out, it would have been unrelenting. It would have been absolutely unrelenting. Anyway, all right, what's next?
Factual Opinion says, I really want a revival of Showtime's Penn and Teller bullshit. It was just so much fun, like the series Adam Ruins Everything.
Those are two shows that I really like. I like Adam Ruins Everything. Even though I question a lot of Adam's conclusions, I love the way he does a show. Penn and Teller's
Never watched it. What was the premise?
Of Adam Ruins Everything?
Yeah, I never watched it.
It's basically, let's say, here's a great example of one. Wedding rings. He takes every episode, it's a certain topic, wedding rings. And then he totally breaks down the actual history of wedding rings, when they weren't ever a thing, when they first became a thing, what drove them, and how do we get to a place now where our society says you are supposed to drop 6 months of salary on a wedding ring. And how did we get to that point? I'm sorry.
That's cool.
What? Like when I was a kid, you're
that.
supposed to spend 2 months salary on it. And then I recently saw some etiquette thing and now they're saying, oh yeah, you're generally spend about 6 months of salary. I'm like, what that for a stone that sits on somebody's finger? Anyway, so he totally breaks it down about how it's basically a big scam and who kind of promoted the idea of wedding rings and having diamond engagement rings and all that kind of stuff. And it's great. And he does it in a very entertaining way, very frenetically, like very
That's
quick.
interesting. I like history and stuff.
It's really good. He does a good job. Penn and Teller's bullshit show is kind of similar in that way, whereas they take a big topic and explain why it's bullshit. And that's just the whole thing. And I remember they did several things like PETA and a number of other things as well. I remember one of the first things I ever watched, and this is going to be controversial, I know, but one of the best episodes of Penn and Teller bullshit, the one that got me thinking the most about how we just accept certain things, whatever, they did a thing about prostitution. And they start off saying, listen, not everybody's going to agree with us, but prostitution should be legal and it should be regulated and it should be whatever. And here's why. And then they break down all this stuff about, the laws that have been passed.
Stuff that makes you think.
What happens, in Las Vegas, they actually legalized it in certain counties, but the government regulate it. All this kind of stuff happens. And the one thing that really moved me was that, for example, let's talk to this guy. And there was this like 61-year-old dude, like not an old man, but getting older. And he was a widower. And he's just like, look, and he moved to Nevada. If I remember the episode right, and it's been a few years since I've seen it, but I believe he moved to Nevada specifically because it was legalized prostitution there. He goes, look, as a human man, part of my genetic makeup is sex is healthy for us. I I want to engage in sex. It's healthy. It's good for my psyche. It's good for my whatever. My body is literally designed to have sex, blah, blah. But since my wife passed away, and I'm not a hook upper. I don't know how to pick up ladies. I don't know how to do any of that. So what is my option? Am I condemned to not have sex for the rest of my life? Or can I come to Vegas and pay somebody for a service that allows me to do something that I really, and they said one thing that was really interesting. And again, I'm not saying I agree with that.
They're sparking conversation.
Here's the thing they said on it that really made me think. They go, think about this. Sex is the one thing, the only thing in the world that you are allowed to give away for free as much as you want, but you're not allowed to sell it. And I remember thinking, and again, I'm not saying I agreed with their conclusions. I'm not saying that. But at the very least, when I watched all their episodes of stuff, same's true as Adam Ruins Everything. As I watch all their episodes of stuff, all of them made me at least for a moment go, okay, I got to pause this and think about what they just said. And it's, if nothing else, even when it comes time at the end of it, and you're like, I still don't agree with their conclusions, but damn, that made me think.
Made you think.
I really like shows that do that. And Penn and Teller were great at it. Adam Ruins Everything is great. Again, I don't always agree with his conclusion on things, but the way he breaks it down is great. These are shows, especially you would love Adam Ruins Everything. Look up.
It sounds like I would.
I think you would have a good time with Adam Ruins Everything.
And I like I loved the my BFF Nikki Cage, his Netflix, the history of swear words. I love the trailer. He's like, bah!
It works. It works.
I love history. I like conversation. So those sound like they go hand in hand.
All right. What's next?
Chuck the Mystery says, hey, John, stunned to see Halloween Kills on your most anticipated films list, considering how much you dislike the franchise. As someone who has loved the film since the beginning, I was curious, what made the 2018 film the first one you ever liked? Thanks.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, I am unique amongst my circle of peers in that I'm not a fan of the Halloween series. And I went back about 12, 13, 14 years ago. I was at a friend of mine's place, Serena's place in Toronto. And Serena had a bunch of friends over to her house and she's going to watching Halloween. It's like, man, I haven't watched this since I was like a little kid.
Yeah.
So we go and watch Halloween and I'm like, I don't think it's all that good. I didn't think it held up.
They're all excited and you're the only one in the corner.
Oh God. And all my friends love the original Halloween. Not everybody loves the other Halloween movies, but all of my friends love the original Halloween. Yeah. And I'm the one that doesn't. And whatever, I just don't. I wish I did, but I don't. It never worked for me.
Subjective.
And I certainly have never liked any of the Halloween films. Not the original ones. Certainly not the Rob Zombie one. I just didn't like any of them. And then here comes this new one. They do this new Halloween.
Was the last one you're talking about?
Yeah, with the one with Jamie Lee Curtis.
I like that.
It does that new trend of it ignores everything after the first Halloween. So it's like the first Halloween movie happened. It pretends none of the other Halloween movies happened. And it's like, this is the true sequel to Halloween that happens many decades later. And I'm like, I went in to watch it. The trailers were good. So I'm like, okay, the trailers are good. But I wasn't expecting to like it. I really like that movie. Yeah. And I don't know if it's just the way that they pulled it in a little bit. They went back to, one of the things I'll say in favor of the first movie is that it was a little bit grounded. And they went back that way. Instead of making it more off the top or out in left field, they reeled it in a bit.
It was a crazy guy in the neighborhood. Like and
it was
you
legit,
see that on Dateline. Like
it was legit scary. Mm-hmm. None of the other Halloween movies to me are scary. This one was legit scary. I love this trio, these female characters with Jamie Lee Curtis and then her daughter and her granddaughter. I thought that was a cool little story. The kills were great and gruesome. I just got into it and I was invested in it.
I like her way of thinking.
Oh, and by the end of it, I'm just like, that felt satisfying. And because I like that, I am actually very excited to see Halloween Kills. It's the first time in my life that I've been excited for a Halloween movie. And I'm happy to be here. All right.
Welcome to the club, I'm sure Chuck would say.
What's next?
All right, Chuck the Mystery says, on Sunday, HBO premiered a new season of its Emmy Award-winning series In Treatment with Orange is the New Black star Uzo Aduba, replacing Gabriel Byrne.
Gabriel Byrne.
Gabriel Byrne, did not read that correctly, as the lead. I thought it was fantastic. Did you or Rob ever watch the original series? Thanks so much.
If what you mean by original series is Orange is the New Black.
No, In Treatment was on in was it early 2000s? In Treatment is an old show that
I've never
HBO
seen it.
used to have. And it was, I think I saw like 1 or 2 episodes. I wasn't really of the age to be like, I'm going to watch HBO now, Mom and Dad. But it was a good series. I remember because I think the reason I liked it is because it was like sitting in on people's therapy sessions.
Okay.
Which is what the show is. She's a therapist, and it kind of goes through a set of her clients and what they're going through and their sessions, but she also has issues of her own. So I was completely unaware of it. Gabriel Byrne, I love him for a couple of movies all time. Number one, of course, is Usual Suspects. He's the lead guy in The Usual Suspects. That is a top 10 favorite film of mine of all time. But also, he played D'Artagnan in the much maligned, terribly underrated Man in the Iron Mask with Leonardo DiCaprio, John Malkovich, Christopher Platt, Jeremy Irons, and Gabriel Byrne. And I always say, if you go back, and it's not meant like this, but if you go back and watch that old Three Musketeers movie with Charlie Sheen, Kiefer Sutherland. Oh, yeah.
And, sorry, that's the one with Oliver Platt. Kiefer Sutherland, Charlie Sheen, Oliver Platt, and who's the kid who played Robin in the Batman and Robin movie?
Chris O'Donnell.
Chris O'Donnell.
It's 90s
as D'Artagnan,
awesome. That
right?
movie is awesome.
As D'Artagnan. So if you watch that, which I love that movie.
Mm-hmm.
I've always have, come D'Artagnan, we're going to save the king. That's where I fell in love with Oliver Platt as well. But if you then watch that movie and then immediately put on Man in the Iron Mask, it feels
like the same world,
like a sequel. Nice. It feels like these are these same characters now 25 years later. And it's not meant as that. It's not designed as that. But if you watch them back to back, it totally feels like this is the same universe. These are the characters when they were younger, and these are the characters now that they're older. And it totally works. Nice. I totally love it on that. Anyway, that got me off on a side tangent on Gabriel Byrne.
Nice.
All right, what's next?
All right. Holid Love says, a comment that you called out on Friday's show made me ponder. Which is the more punishable offense on the John Campea Show Book of Law? Putting baby in the corner or yucking Chris Carr's yum?
Oh, yucking on Chris Carr's yum is something you should never do. That I found out. Do not yuck on Chris Carr's yum. I've never heard that saying before until Chris said it on the show. And now I love that saying. And I understand it has been used and has been around before Chris Carr said it. But to me, she is the originator of that saying. And I always think about that saying, I don't want to yuck on your yum, because that's the one thing you should never do is yuck on Chris Carr's yum. All right, what's next?
Alan says, hi, John. I was hoping you could explain something to me, being that you're on YouTube. I've heard of / seen other channels getting copyright claims when doing trailer reactions, which seems stupid. Do they not want people to react or see their trailers?
No. Okay, look, I understand the confusion about this, but you have to look at the bigger picture. If you are the holder of an IP or you hold copyright on something, you must protect your copyright. If you do not, it can create headaches for you later because it could cause headaches down the line. Here's what I mean. If you own copyright, let's say I own the copyright to this Zevia Cola can for whatever reason, right? Just go along with it. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, Kimberly starts using my Zevia Cola can in her stuff, and I don't protect that copyright. Then when somebody else starts trying to use my Zevia Cola can, they can actually bring it up in court that, listen, he hasn't been defending this copyright. He's been letting other people use it. John has set precedent allowing other people to use their copyright. And that can actually become a headache. Now, that's not a full legal doctrine. I'm not trying to suggest that it is, but it can create headaches. If you do not set precedent that you actively defend and protect your copyright, it can create legal headaches for you later on. Thus, a lot of times, now there are obviously mechanisms that they were able to put in place to let it around, but movie trailers are still copywritten pieces of content. Somebody owns the copyright to that. You don't. And just like any other copyright things, other than fair use law and the doctrine of fair use, you can't just go around using people's copyrights. And if a studio sees people in an inappropriate way using their copyrights without permission and all that kind of stuff, they have to, like, they really don't have a choice. They have to defend their IP and they have to defend their copyright, because they got to be able to show, if it ever becomes a problem later, we have always actively defended our copyright. Now, again, there are exceptions. There are mechanisms they have in place to let that go. But it's not just a matter of, well, hey, why don't they want me talking about their trailer?
Don't you
doing
want
a trailer
me to
reaction?
like give you a shout out?
Yeah, I totally get it. You're totally right. But it also has to be done the right way, because, again, these companies are in a position where they need to actively and aggressively defend their IP, because if you don't, it can cause problems for you later. So it's not just as cut and dry as, well, wouldn't they want people talking about their trailer? I get it. I totally get it. But there are bigger picture things that have to be involved too. That's why there's a whole song and dance that has to be done around it. And there are people on YouTube who know how to do the song and dance and some who don't, but it is what it is. All right, what's next?
Frankie W. Gouge says, love the Nevers finale. Brilliant sci-fi. Eternals look beautiful. Army of the Dead is adequate to the task. Wouldn't mind prequel, sequel, or of some sort.
Have you watched The Nevers?
No, it was so funny. I was watching Sword and Dagger and I was on like episode 3 and I forgot what platform it was on. And then I started
It's on HBO.
watching Shadow and
Bone's on
Shadow
Netflix.
and Bone is on Netflix. And for some reason, I was like, let me watch the next episode of Shadow and Bone. And I started watching the first episode of The Nevers. And I was like, where are the I hate it when they switch characters. I was like, oh, this is not the same show. This is not even the same platform. So I accidentally started watching it, but I wanted to finish Shadow and Bone first.
All right. So I wasn't what I would say excited. I wasn't excited about The Nevers. I was certainly curious.
It's very similar to that show with Orlando Bloom, isn't it?
Carnival Row?
Yeah.
Not really.
No? Okay.
Aesthetically, it has a little bit of a similar feel.
Okay.
So I watched The Nevers and I instantly liked it. From first episode, I really liked it. And I have really, Ann and I, this has been every week, we've got to watch the new Nevers. Got to watch the new episode of The Nevers. And we've really been enjoying it until the finale.
Oh no.
They did the season finale.
Did they Game of Thrones you and just...
Well, I love the last season of Game of Thrones, but so I can't use that terminology. But here's what it did for me. Did you ever watch Lost?
I sure did.
Okay, so this is the way I explained when Rob was asking me to explain it. This is the way I explained it to Rob. You know how in Lost, like, to me, that show was singing. That show was just humming along and singing. And the jump the shark moment to me of Lost, the moment that show lost me, I believe it was in the final season, was the episode where it was a flashback to the origins of Jacob and the black smoke monster when they were both brothers and they were individuals living on that island.
Yeah.
That episode, to me, ruined the mysterious mythology of what the island was. And I thought it was just ridiculous and it lost me. The season finale of The Nevers had that same kind of impact on me. Like what you just introduced to me kind of sours the whole show. And it did not work for me at all. Now listen, if they ever greenlight a season 2, and I don't know that they will, if they ever greenlight a season 2, I'm going to give it the first few episodes a chance to see if they can context what was just done in the finale, to see if they kind of set it up in a way that it makes more sense to me or that it works better.
Things away like that.
But I was very disappointed because I have been so into this show. Like they've got Amelia True is like one of my favorite characters on TV right now. She's the lead character of this show. I love her in this. Malady, who is like their universe's version of the Joker. Like she's got superpowers, but she's totally insane and just loves to kill people. But and I'm not going to say what happened in the finale, but for me, that finale didn't work. So Frankie, I'm glad you liked it. I'm glad you had a good time with it. Maybe I need to rewatch the finale because it just did not work for me. And I've been really enjoying the show up to this point, but we'll see how that goes. All right. What's next?
My Comic Planet says, hey, John, gotta be honest. I wasn't that thrilled with the Eternals trailer. It looked kind of boring to me and no Celestials. Also, that last clip, they mentioned the Avengers. So where were they during the snap then? Hope future trailers are better.
I gotta disagree. I thought the trailer. Now I get it. We live in an age right now where everything needs to have 15 explosions and a whole bunch of battle action sequences. To me, this was a fabulous teaser. It was a fabulous
It was a teaser.
first teaser. That's what it was. And I thought it was great on that level. It showed, first of all, we got the reigning defending director of the year, who also made the Best Picture asterisk, the Academy Award asterisk, Best Picture of the Year asterisk in Nomadland. And what this teaser showed us was this epic, centuries spanning story of these characters. And it just introduces us to this notion that they came here in the early days of man, and they have been here and they've watched us. They've done a little bit of influencing, but they say, we have vowed never to interfere. Until now. They don't tell us what is the threat, what's the basic story, what's going on. It was just setting this sweeping, epic story of these Eternals. And as our very first hint of what's going to be in this movie, I thought it worked very well. Now look, is it the Man of Steel trailer? No. Is it the Batman versus Superman Comic-Con trailer? No. But it wasn't really their first trailer. It was just, here's a first little glimpse. When they first put out their next official trailer, we'll start to get a better sense.
Yeah.
But I thought, oh my God, this feels like legit filmmaking. This feels like it's going to be this centuries spanning epic tale. And it makes me think, oh my God, if they were so committed to not interfering, and even to them,
commitment, because
the Thanos thing is like that. No, we can't interfere.
Half of existence got wiped out, and they were like,
it's not our place to interfere. What is coming that they were like, now we have to get involved. So I'm like, whoa, what the hell is that?
That's the ante a lot.
What's that?
That ups the ante a lot.
It really does.
The snap happen, but this, whatever this is.
And they're Eternals. They probably were immune to the snap. Probably. That's my guess.
Yeah.
But it's like, okay, but now they're saying they need to get involved. Okay, now I can't wait for the first official trailer. So, hey, but listen, different people look for different things in their trailers. I look for, are you going to give us a great sweeping story with great characters? And it looks like they're going to give us that. I don't need big explosions and action sequences and whatever in my maybe by trailer 2 or 3, I'm going to want, it's a comic book movie. I'm human. I'm going to want to see a little bit of that stuff for sure.
Yeah.
But in the first teaser, I thought it did its job as a teaser. So I'm actually quite pro on it. All right.
You know what was funny that I was thinking that when I saw it, at first I was like, that was a little boring. And then I had this weird analogy of like how the past 11 years of Marvel that we had reminds me of when you're in your 20s and you have like good beer or you have like good cocktails. And then you get to your late 20s and someone introduces you to wine and it's a little bit more sophisticated. And you kind of look at it at first and go, this is boring. I want a screwdriver. Hit me like, give me a Moscow Mule. Hit me. We wanted explosions. We wanted this. And then I watched the trailer again and I'm like, you know what? It's wine. It's sophisticated. It's a little bit slower, but keep drinking and you're going to find notes that you love and you're going to really find an appreciation for this. And that's how I felt about it because the music was slower. There were no explosions. Angelina Jolie, as Cersei, I think she's supposed to be a warrior. I didn't see her do anything fancy, no backflips, no craziness. And then I was like, you know what? It's taking the Marvel fan up a notch. It's a bit more deep and it's a bit more sophisticated than your Avengers Hulk smash, boom, boom, boom.
And more importantly, and to your point, what it is also doing, what a lot of Marvel material has been doing lately, is they are trying to expand their fan base. Now they're saying to the world, hey, look, world, we've had a couple comic book movies nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards. Mm-hmm. We've had a lead actor Academy Award go to somebody in a comic book movie. We've had Logan was nominated for Best Screenplay. Listen, maybe traditionally the comic book movies haven't been for you to the people out there who aren't already.
Yeah.
Take a look at this from the Academy Award winning Best Director, from the Academy Award Best Picture winning filmmaker. Look at what we're doing here. We're telling a tale. We're telling an epic tale.
It's a romance. We've never had a real romance in Marvel. We've had some looks and flirtations, but we've never had that.
And I loved when they did those cutscenes of the two of them throughout the ages.
Different generations and ages in different places of the world. I'm here for it. I'm like, okay. Pour
and again,
that cab.
Again, It's just the teaser. They're not even calling it their first official trailer. We don't know what it's about. We don't know who the bad guy is. We don't know what the big conflict in it is.
I saw some cool stuff, like when the village people, the villagers. I saw this quick thing. They're amazing, and you have to. The soundtrack is going to be by the Village People. Like the villagers. I noticed their eyes were like all fogged out or something. It looked like something had taken them over. There was this quick scene of the villagers like picking up, and their eyes are all kind of lit up. And I was like, okay,
what's happening here?
What is happening here? It's gonna go places, but just roll with it.
We'll see. All right, what's next?
Nate says, "Hey, John and Rob, I hope you guys had a good weekend. But anyway, I wanted to hear your thoughts on the new Uncharted movie coming out next year, starring Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg."
Yeah, so we've talked about this a lot on our show. I am very intrigued by this movie. Like, listen, Sony has been killing it with, like, I know everybody thought it was the cool thing to bag on Sony. Sony's been cranking out some really good stuff.
Really good stuff.
They put out some big misses too. Don't get that wrong. But when I look at what they've done with some of their things, and I think this is great. Now, Mark Wahlberg, here's the funny thing. Mark Wahlberg was attached to actually be the lead and to be Nathan.
I was going to say,
yeah, for
Tom
like
Holland's so young,
5 or 6 years, he was attached to play that.
Oh, dang.
And so now he's going to play Sully. He's going to play the older guy, and they've decided to tell the story of a younger Drake and then move up from there. I am personally very intrigued by this. I love, obviously, the guys they've got playing in it. I think this is a great Indiana Jones style adventure. It could be. It's got a lot of potential. Maybe the movie will be terrible, but for me, Nate, I'm actually quite excited about it, and I'm looking forward to it. What about you? You got any anticipation for this?
I'm excited for it because I love Indiana Jones. Is one of my favorite all-time films, and I love things that are like it and explores. And honestly, I'm really liking. I know not everything that that's come out of the gate that Tom Holland has done has been amazing, but I'm excited to see him in different roles playing different characters, and I think this is right in his wheelhouse.
I mean, look, the reality is this: an actor can't make a bad movie good. They can't do that.
There's so many things outside of their control.
They can take their character and make it as best as they can to make it and elevate it as much as they can. But they ultimately, an actor can't take a bad movie and a bad script and make a good movie out of it with their performance. It just can't be done. They can become a highlight. Tom Holland's done some mediocre to bad movies, but he's always been a highlight, and he's always kind of elevated as much as he can.
He always brings it. He always brings it to the table.
All right. What's next?
This is coming from Spencer S. So that CNBS article does say it will make it more flexible to sell off assets, but the article also says it makes it. Oops, my bad. It makes it more flexible to buy assets as well. This allows them to acquire more assets later so they can continue to grow their content library.
Yes, Spencer. And by the way, it's MSNBC. And yes, Spencer, you're right. And that's something I mentioned a little bit earlier, though I don't think I said it on the show earlier today, that yes, it also pointed out that it makes it more flexible for them to acquire more assets moving forward. See, some people, as a result of that, them latching on to a line in the 4th paragraph of an article made them now think they're just putting this thing together to sell it right away and Disney's going to buy it. Now Disney's going to have Marvel and DC. No, it's not. Listen, this is a standard thing. This is happening. Yes, it will give them more flexibility to do a lot of things, including to sell itself off in the future if they want, but also to acquire more assets in the future. So that's well pointed out, Spencer, well pointed out. All right, what's next?
Let's Make Things Dark says, saw Greenland. Even though this movie didn't have consistent VFX shots or scenes, I actually found the human story element very profound and astonishing with what certain situations would happen if such things were to become a reality. Have you seen this?
Yes. And listen, it looks on its surface. When it came out, the trailers started dropping, all that kind of stuff. Remember, I was talking about, it's like, this is going to be like Armageddon. This is going to be a big, dumb disaster movie fun.
Yeah.
It's not one of those. It's actually a lot deeper, and it's more of a character movie. Gerard Butler is fantastic in it. I'm trying to remember the name of the actress from Serenity and Firefly, and she's also the Deadpool's girlfriend in Deadpool, and I'm freezing on the actress's name right now. Anyway, but Gerard Butler, it's actually, forget disaster movie. It's a good movie.
Morena Baccarin.
Morena Baccarin, thank you. It's not just a good disaster movie, it's a good movie. And I remember Rob saw it before I did, and he was saying, this is not what you think. I mean, it's got those big disaster elements, absolutely. And, the meteors are falling and whatever, but it's got great tension. It's got great character development. It's got great interaction with the characters. That's what it's really about. And it is much better than I thought it would be. So, yeah, you're absolutely right about that. Let's Make Things Dark. All right. What's next?
Let's Make Things Dark says, have you seen many disaster films? And if so, which one is one of your favorites?
Oh, that's easy. That's easy. Don't want to close my eyes. Don't want to fall asleep because it's Armageddon. Armageddon. I know the Michael Bay movie that a lot of people love to crap on. I get it. That is my guilty pleasure movie, but I love Armageddon. I love that movie. I think it's terrific. I love it. Ben Affleck in there. I mean, the late great Michael Clark Duncan, Steve Buscemi. It's a great movie, and I love it. Now, there are a lot of disaster movies. I have a little guilty pleasure for almost every disaster movie. I get a kick out of disaster movies, but Armageddon is the one for me, so that's my favorite one. All right, what is next?
Shane says, I heard that the new Wheel of Time show...
Oh, I think you skipped one.
I'm so sorry.
There we go.
Let's Make Things Dark says, there wasn't any representation of the Latino people in the movie 2012. In the movie Greenland, there was some representation of the Latino community, which I think is good because we should always have diversity in the movies. Thoughts?
It depends. I mean, that's not what anybody wants to hear. Everybody wants to hear, but the honest answer is it depends. It depends on what your movie's about. What is the scope of your movie? Who are the central characters of your story? What types of things are involved? Look, movies should represent the world we live in, right? And that means most of the time there needs to be more diversity in our thing, because a lot of times some movies and TV shows get made and they do not look like the world we live in. They just simply don't look like the world we live in. And that is a mistake. But again, I'm not going to say there is a blanket answer to that where in all cases, this is what should happen. I think it depends. Now, of course, in general, we live in an age where we have a movie industry that for 100 years or more has had an active and aggressive agenda of exclusion. There's no denying it. It just has for over 100 years. We are now finally getting to the place where we're ending that agenda and trying to become a more diverse place to look like the real world that we live in. But that doesn't mean that every single thing, like if you're doing a thing down here, does every single movie you have to have a Native Canadian in it? No. Do Native Canadians live in our world? Of course they do, but it doesn't mean they have to pop up in every single thing we do, depending on the scope and the nature of the story you're telling. But there's just no denying, Let's Make Things Dark, that, yeah, there's still many, many movies and TV shows that are guilty of not actually looking like the real world that we live in, with the diversity that's present in the world that we live in. So in general, yes. All the time specifically, not necessarily, but in general, absolutely. All right. What's next? Now I think we're on to Shane.
All right, Shane. He says, I heard that the new Wheel of Time show being made by Amazon has already been renewed for a second season, and the first season hasn't even been released. Does this happen very often? Also, interested in what you know about the show.
Know next to nothing about the show. I haven't been following the development of the show. A lot of people are very excited about it. Obviously, it's got a long history with the IP and the story of it and all that kind of stuff. It isn't normal. It is not normal for the second season of a show to be greenlit before the first one even debuts, before the first season even debuts. It's not normal, but it does happen from time to time. 90% of the time that it happens, it is a strong showing that the network involved or the streaming service, as it may be, has a lot of confidence in it, because it means that they have been seeing the development of it. They've been watching it and they say, you know what? We know this is going to be a winner. We know this is going to be a winner. And therefore, boom, let's just greenlight the second, third, whatever season as we go. Does it happen often? No. Is it super rare? No, not super rare either, but it's definitely a good sign, Shane. It's definitely a good sign. All right, what's next?
Let's Make Things Dark says, with all these disaster films, if you didn't have a choice, which way would you prefer to go out? Meteor, black hole, alien invasion, or zombie apocalypse, etc.?
It's a trick question because it's a zero-sum question. The end result is all the same. You die. There's no, like in every one of these disaster film things, meteor, black hole, alien invasion, zombie apocalypse. I guess I will say zombie apocalypse because that gives you your best chance of surviving it. Alien invasion, you're done. Black hole, you're done. Meteor, you're done. But basically it's all a zero sum. It all ends with you being dead. So it's kind of a trick question. It doesn't really matter. The only one you have the slightest possibility of maybe surviving if you watched any zombie movies is, of course, the zombie apocalypse. So I will take that one, I suppose. Do you have a preferred method of disaster movie you'd want to inhabit or be a part of?
I guess I'd prefer a meteor. I don't want a tidal wave. That scene from Day After Tomorrow. I don't want a wave that's higher than a skyscraper.
Yeah,
I just don't want to deal with that.
Oh man, I still watch old videos of the tsunami that hit Japan a few years ago. And I just think, and that wasn't like a giant tidal wave but just seeing the water,
the realness
coming across the thing and just taking everything with it. It was like, woo, I don't
And you know what? After 2020, all these disaster movies that I would sometimes look at and go, yeah, right. When I stood in line at Costco for the first time during the pandemic, and it was just crazy.
Oh my gosh.
I'd never been in a situation like that. I was like, this is like every disaster movie I've ever seen when people are acting crazy. And so now I'm like, can we get away from reality? Can you be like, the world is ending by slime?
I remember the first time when I went into a grocery store and saw that there was no toilet paper.
So weird.
No paper towels.
And people acting a fool.
Here's the thing. There was more than enough for everybody. The only reason there was a shortage was because idiot alarmists were like, quick, and they would go in and buy 3 shopping cart baskets full of toilet paper, and all of a sudden there wasn't any left.
It wasn't
there
like
was
everyone
plenty
took
for
one.
everybody.
It was
if people didn't act stupid.
Billy the basement dweller took 30. That's why.
Yep.
Sorry if you're
got to do that before the government comes to take all my toilet paper. I need anyway. It was so stupid. All right, what's next?
Logan says, hey, John, big fan of the show. I know you've given up on the DC animated films, but the newest Superman film, Man of Tomorrow, is incredible. It's completely character driven, keeping Clark in focus with a surprisingly fresh original story.
I appreciate the recommendation, Logan. I do, but I'm not going to be fooled. I bought into that same lie that everybody started saying, John, we know you don't like the DC animated stuff. Frankly, I don't like the Marvel animated stuff either. Again, on both the DC and the Marvel side, there are some notable exceptions. But in general, the Marvel and the DC straight to home video animated stuff is all shite. Like, it's garbage. And then I had all these people tell me, no, John, you don't understand this new one that came out like last year. What was it called? Apocalypse War? Justice League Apocalypse War, John. Oh, you got to watch Justice League Apocalypse War. I'm like, all right. You guys told me that about Harley Quinn. So I watched the Harley Quinn and I loved it. So I'm sure I'm going to like this Justice League Apocalypse War. Low budget, 4th grade shite.
Socks off,
it
man.
Was awful. It's like basic 4th grader could have written that shit. It was terrible.
4th graders are freaking awesome.
It was so bad. And I'm like, okay, so no, I'm not going to listen, every once in a while, like a Flashpoint will come up. Every once in a while, a Under the Red Hood. Every once in a while, a Doctor Strange. There are exceptions. There are some animated straight to home video things that Marvel and DC do that I do like. But 90% of it is 4th grade garbage.
Are you going to watch What If on Disney Plus?
I will give it a shot. It is by far the least excited thing I am about it. But the concept of just looking at all these different characters and scenarios with what if this twist happened, that interests me. So I will give it a shot. I'm not expecting much from it, though. I'm expecting it's probably going to be pretty lame. But they got all the original voice actors back to do the voices of the characters. I think that includes Chadwick Boseman. I think Chadwick Boseman recorded his vocals for this a long time ago.
Oh, wow.
But I'll be honest with you, I'm not expecting much out of it. I'm not expecting much. All right, what's next?
Ishmael Montoya says, Hey, John, my wife and kids live by Disneyland, and we had annual passes before.
Yeah, me too. R.I.P. to those.
Don't exist now. We're kind of hesitant on going back, not because of COVID, but because it might not be the same experience it used to be. How was your experience?
Yeah, of course. Ann and I went to Disneyland yesterday for the first time in 15 months. We also used to be annual pass holders for like 7 years. We had annual passes. And then
I
they took
won
those away.
annual passes in one of those put your business card in this fishbowl thing.
And now you
and
don't
it was
have
when
it.
the boys were like 2 and 3, and it was heavenly
Oh,
to have those passes.
listen,
oh man.
what is
and when you
great-
live close by,
What is great about them is that I know for most people, you got to plan a 4-day family trip and you need to be in the park for 8 hours to even get close to seeing all the things you want to get. And then the next day you got to go to the other park because on one side is Disneyland, on the other side is California Adventure. Collectively, it's all just Disneyland, but still, if you want to get to close to all the things you want to see and do in there, you got to spend another 8 or 9 hours there. With an annual pass and living like 45 minutes from Disneyland, Ann and I could be on a Wednesday, if we had both had a day off, or any Saturday, we go, oh, you know what? You want to just run over to Disneyland? And we could drive to Disneyland, go in there for like an hour and a half, 2 hours, go ride Indiana Jones, which I have to do every time I go to Disneyland. Go ride Indiana Jones. I won't get on the Guardians of the Galaxy thing because I have a fear of heights. It's like, that's not going to work for me.
Oh, yeah.
But Ann is on it every time we go. Go to the Rides of Resistance, do the Millennium Falcon, whatever. And it's like, okay. Yeah,
I
we can
used
go
it
home
as a
now.
reward with my nephews when we were potty training. I said, look, if you go in the potty, you know what? We will go to Disneyland today, right now. Those kids were potty trained so fast because we lived like 35 minutes away.
As far as the experience goes, here's the thing. So right now they still have limited capacity. They only let a certain number of people in. You have to get your ticket in advance and book the day that you're going. And they only allow a limited number of people in. It still feels like there's a good crowd there. But you'd think with a limited number of people, that must mean it must be a lot easier to get on the rides. It's not, because they're limiting the amount of people who can get on the rides as well. A great example of this is when Ann and I did the Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run. Normally there are 6 people in the Falcon cockpit. They only had Ann and I going ourselves because they're even social distancing that. And I expect that, and I respect it. But it took us 4.5 hours to get on that ride.
Nope.
Now, we didn't have to stand in line.
Now, I would binge a season of something.
You could binge the entire series of MODOK in that time. But now, fortunately, we weren't standing in line for 4.5 hours. What you do is you had to use your app to get on a boarding group. And then it would let you know when your boarding group number comes up, then you can head on over to the ride and come and get in line. And once we were in line, we were only in line for like maybe 15 minutes.
That's not too bad. You can plan your
So
day, kind of.
we booked our spot for the Indiana Jones ride and then went off, ate lunch, did a bunch of other things. And then when it came time, we went to the Indiana Jones line. We're in line for 15 minutes, got on the Indiana Jones ride.
Nice.
So it's fine. But again, don't expect that because there's less people there right now that you're going to have less wait times for rides. It is nice that they're using the Disneyland app more now, because now you can just order all your food at any of the restaurants and then just show up and they'll have it ready for you. Like, we even pre-ordered our blue milk in Star Wars
Are you
Land.
serious?
Yeah, we order our blue milk, just showed up, got to the mobile order part and was just sitting there waiting for us. Got it. We pre-ordered our lunch, ready to go, sat down, ate it. It was great. So it was still a great experience.
What's the sanitization like? Are there stations everywhere?
Not only do they have hand sanitizer everywhere, they set up hand washing stations all through the park.
Oh.
You used to be walking around and there would be this hand washing station with a sink and tap and soap and all this kind of stuff. So they had all that ready to go. So listen, I gotta tell you, Ann and I had a great time. We had a great time. We're going again for our anniversary on June 12th. We're going again, and I'm looking forward to it.
You got to wear the cute ears.
And Ann was definitely wearing her cute ears. She always has to have those. All right, what's next?
James Argenta says, correcting a previous question I wrote, Lucasfilm could use a Hera Syndulla.
Oh,
Syndulla phone autocorrection Hera to hers to replace Kara in the Rangers, but they should not change their plans for Hera just to fill a hole in the show. And Hera's son, Jason, sorry guys, might not fit in Rangers.
Okay, so I get it. So what happened was earlier today, James sent in a question, said, hey, with Gina Carano out, they can always replace Gina's character with hers. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. They could replace Gina's character with hers. I'm like, hers?
Her, who dat her?
And Jason, are we talking about Leia's kids in the expanded universe? And I just didn't know what he saw. Okay, Hera Syndulla from Rebels. Okay. Yeah, that would be, listen, I'd sign up for that. I love Rebels. And the Hera character is one of the best in the show. I love the Hera character. Also in like the new novels and stuff like that, her father is, Hera Syndulla's father is actually one of the prime characters in a lot of the new canon novels that come out. He'll pop up now and again. He did pop up in Rebels as well, now that I think about it. But anyway, yes, that would be cool. Now that you've clarified, James, what you're talking about, and yes, Hera would, but for all we know, Hera might already be a character in Rangers of the New Republic. Because after all, like one of the producers on that is going to be Dave Filoni. Dave Filoni is the creator of Rebels and ran Rebels, so that he's one of her characters. They've already brought in his character Ahsoka, which I hated in the animated stuff, but I really liked her in the live action version. So since I already like the Hera character, I can't wait. That would be a great idea, but maybe she's already a part of it. We'll have to wait and see. All right, guys, that'll do it. We're all caught up. These are all the questions that got sent in by the end of today's show. Thank you so much, guys, for sending in those questions. And thank you for taking the time to watch this video and hang out with us. Again, special thank you to all you guys who sent in these questions. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel by sending them in, and all of us involved with the John Campea YouTube shows. Thank you guys very, very much for that support. Want to thank, of course, Kimberly Curran, ladies and gentlemen, for being back here. Kimberly, thanks for being here. And where can people follow you online?
Yeah, you guys can follow me on Instagram at WuzKimberly, WuzKimberly.
And of course, guys, you can just follow me on Twitter and Instagram and stuff like that, just at John Campea. All right, guys, that'll do it for us for now for today. Thanks a lot for being here. Remember, do the four main things. Stay smart, stay safe, take care of yourselves, and please take care of the people around you. That'll do it for us, guys. My name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.